What's up, guys? Andrew Cooper here, and today we're going to talk about a very serious issue when drafting wide receivers that has plagued fantasy gamers for years. I've seen my buddies do it very recently. I've done it myself in the past. Just recently have I now kind of figured out the best way to handle this, and that's why we came out with the dynamic tier rankings this year that are now available in the draft guide, right? This is to help you solve this problem. It's a bit of an advanced problem, but you guys are advanced fantasy gamers. I'm assuming that you're on Fantasy Alarm. You know what you're doing. You've been around. You listen to Howard Bender. You listen to John and Pemba. You kind of have an idea of what's going on. So we can skip right to these kind of a little more advanced topics. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but a lot of people aren't thinking about it when they're doing their drafts. They're just drafting off a big list of players and not doing enough to think dynamically. That's why we call them the dynamic tier rankings, right? So what I'm going to talk about today is balance. And it's a problem that we run into when you go into a draft with a mindset, and different people have different mindsets. And the problem is they're not thinking in the middle. Some people come out and they get really aggressive with who they're drafting, right? Last year, I watched a buddy of mine come out and he took Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk. He thought Michael Thomas would be a steal because he was hurt. He thought Odell would be a steal because he was hurt. These type guys, you get that group together and you think you're going to get all this upside. And what happens is, these guys, they don't pan out right away. You pick an Amon-Ra St. Brown, which was great down the stretch, but you forget that early in the year, he wasn't doing anything. Gabriel Davis, early in the year, he did nothing until Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. If your team was all those guys, yeah, if you made it to the playoffs, then they might have come around and helped you out. But in reality, those dudes didn't play for the start of the year. You probably didn't even make the playoffs. So that's the problem there, is that guy went out, took too much upside. He didn't get enough balance. Right. Another example would be somebody comes out, they take DJ Moore last year, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers, Russell Gage. These kind of slot guys don't have huge average depth of target, don't have huge ceilings. And what happens every week is you got 3 wide receiver spots to fill, and you got 5 guys that are all the same dude. And it's just a headache. You're not giving yourself enough upside. You're probably just going to cruise into third place. Right. So with our dynamic tier rankings, what we try to do is, and you can go on the site now and look at the primer where we have an example of what they're going to look like. They're coming out soon. Basically, we have the top guys, the top 24. Every team starts 24. Every team starts 2 wide receivers in pretty much every format, right? So we put 24 guys in there that we think are must start every week. If you have 3 of them, great. If you have 1 of them, you need a little help, right? But the reality is that all those guys are going to be locked in. After that, we split it into 2 categories. We split it into safe wide receiver 3 type guys that we think can start every week for you, as long as they're healthy, obviously. The upside might not be crazy, but they give you that consistency. So an example would be on the safe side, we have guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, kind of a low A-dot guy, but he's going to be one of the top targets in his offense, should be pretty safe. Adam Thielen, for instance, probably at this point in his career, not dropping a lot of 150-yard games, but he catches a few passes every single game and scores pretty often. So he's a good bet to not get you a 0, and he's got a little upside there. On the other side of the equator, right, we have the super high upside guys, but high risk guys, right? So you look at a guy like Gabriel Davis. We hope he's going to be the second target on the team after Stephon Diggs. Do we know that? No. It could be Jamison Crowder. It could be Dawson Knox. He might not be a guy that at any point you really feel comfortable starting, but we like the upside. So he's on the upside side, right? Elijah Moore, right? We like the upside of what he is, but they have Corey Davis. They went and got Garrett Wilson. They went and got 2 tight ends. They have a fullback. They might not even have 3 wide receivers on the field a lot of sets. So these guys are a little more risky. Obviously, same goes for guys like Chris Godwin, who we don't know when he's going to be back. DeAndre Hopkins, who we know he's going to miss 6 weeks, right? So the goal here is for you to go out, hopefully get as many of the top 24 guys as possible. Then after that, create yourself a bit of a balance and know your format in doing it, right? If you start 3 wide receivers and a flex in your league, then you got to make sure that you have at least 3 guys somewhere on there that you're confident starting, right? And ideally 4, because you got bye weeks, you got injuries, right? If you have just all upside guys, you're going to be hurting, right? If you have a league that only starts 2 wide receivers and doesn't have a flex, as crazy as that might sound, I've seen leagues like that, then you really don't want to load up on mediocre guys on your bench, because only guys that break out studs are going to crack your lineup, right? So go out and shoot for the moon. Take DeAndre Hopkins, take Chris Godwin, because you can find two guys to go in your lineup, right? So these are the things you got to think about. That's why we're trying to get you to think dynamically. You can still go and look at Howard's linear rankings, look at Ronus's linear rankings. Those are going to help you out, because then you get to know maybe what guys to take over another. But when we look at linear rankings, how am I supposed to rank, Russell Gage next to DeAndre Hopkins? One guy is, kind of a low ceiling slot guy, but kind of consistent. The other guy is a high ceiling guy that's going to miss 6 games. How can you possibly rank those guys linearly? That's why we came up with this system. Hopefully it will help you guys out. So go on there, check out the primers now, which are up there. They'll explain for tight end, RB, quarterback, and wide receiver how it works. And then hopefully we're going to have the ranking up there soon, which we're going to update fairly regularly, so we can try and help you get that balance you need to just cruise right through and win your league. All right, guys. Talk to you next week. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Happy 4th. Go America. Go FA Nation.